Day five. Today is really on the game of commercial real estate and how you could get started investing in commercial real estate. So, what's interesting is yesterday I was meeting with my architect, and I walked in, and the first thing I think it was Rafael. So it was Rafael and Thomas or Tomas, and Rafael says, "Hey Shane, I saw your post yesterday on LinkedIn, and what you said about your daughter and climbing up the wall." He said that like that's it, man, that's it. And this isn't about I guess the reason I'm telling you that is today is all about the fact that commercial real estate is a relationship business. And one of the things that I'm doing with these videos, with the blogs, the articles, I mean, there's a reason I'm spending 3 hours a morning creating this content and sharing it. And one of the primary drivers is the more value I put out, it comes back to me. And it doesn't always come back the way that you think it's going to. So, for example, after I submitted that article and the story about my daughter, all of a sudden, the conversation and the relationship, it just felt like we were a little bit, we were more like friends, if you will, versus strangers that really have never worked together because he knows something about me, he knows something about my daughter, and now I know that he's got 5 kids. I thought having three was crazy, but like that's how relationships start. And one of the real benefits, and I'm not suggesting that you need to start doing these type of videos or putting out this much content, but I would say that it certainly helps because I'm able to build relationships on scale, right? So I don't know how many times right now I'm not getting like thousands of views, but I don't need thousands of views. All I need is like one or two of the right people seeing these videos, reading the articles, knowing, okay, I like Shane, I like what he stands for, and if I've got a property, maybe I'll show it to him. Or maybe I know someone that needs real estate help. You know what? I'm going to call Shane. And that is really what this is about. This is why I'm doing this. This is kind of behind the scenes. I wasn't even planning to talk about this today, but it's fitting. Number one. Number two, I try to be as transparent as possible. Now, when you read the article that I put out today, you're going to see sometimes I am vague on the type of deals that I'm doing. And there's a very specific reason for that, is because uh, like the imperfect information that you get, you need to keep that private. There's no need in me sharing like the type of deals that I'm doing in the event that someone else could come in and potentially compete with me. I mean that's not. I'm not doing this to create more competition. I'm doing this to essentially help grow my business and help other people grow their business. So today is really about the game of commercial real estate. And I think one of the biggest misunderstandings that new investors coming into this world, especially if they've come in with the paradigm of residential real estate, is they don't appreciate how much time and energy it takes for some of these commercial brokers, lenders, whoever it happens to be, like how long it takes them to get that type of information and knowledge. And so, excuse me, when you understand that, you realize that you got to be respectful. Like, it's not all about just taking and pumping guys for information. Like, there's got to be a back and forth, an understanding that, okay, this broker is sharing information with me that's taken him 10, 20, 30 years. He's out there pounding the pavement, he's making phone calls, and he's sharing that because he thinks that I'm going to buy a property from him. I'm not going to take this information from this individual and then go use someone else. And so it's just these types of mindsets. Now, of course, there's not necessarily like an obligation. It's just, when you're, I wasn't even going to go down this rabbit hole, so maybe I'm just going to stop right there. I think people inherently know when they're doing the right thing versus taking advantage of a situation. And I would say that if you get the reputation of being a taker, people stop returning your calls. If you're someone that has high integrity, credible, you're not an ass, you're kind of easy to deal with. Look, people are going to show you deals, and ultimately, I always want to be the guy that gets the first phone call. I mean, that's really what this is about. You don't want to be the guy getting the call after 50 people have shopped it and seen the deal and have passed. So if I could just share that with you, I think that would be a win. Okay, so two resources that I mentioned today, and one of them is this book here, The Real Estate Game. It's a great book. It's pretty thick. I mean, I don't know, like a couple hundred pages. Smart guys. It's old though. I mean, I want to say that it's probably written in the 90s, I want to say. And then this book here doesn't even matter if you're in the US or Canada, because this book here is like, I mean, it's over 600 pages. So here's why I'm showing you those books. Number one, you'll see when you read through the article that I got an email from a gentleman and he listed like 3 pages of just excellent questions. But the challenge is, as I started to think through it, is if I answer those questions, they change. And unless I have a going back and forth conversation and understand, okay, what is the market? What's the property? Why are you buying it? I mean, like there's just so many variables that there's no one way to do this, right? This isn't like I don't know, tying your shoe, or I don't even know what the right example would be, where there's like a very specific prescribed way that you would do that. When you're investing in real estate, especially commercial real estate, there's many different strategies that you can use. And so what I think is probably the most valuable resource or kind of information that I can give you is to give you kind of fundamental truths, so that when the market changes, or when you are negotiating, or when you're looking at a property, you're able to basically take the different tools in terms of negotiating, finding deals, understanding risk, and apply it to the various situations. Because if you know how to think and react in the moment, then you'll be better suited for investing situations that come up. And I think that that's, when I see someone, especially new, that says, like, can you just give me step one, step two, step three to do this? The challenge with that is no two pieces of real estate are exactly the same. And so there's always going to be nuances. So if I can give you the frameworks to put that property in, so that you can properly determine, okay, here are the risks. Here's the safe line. We're going to talk about the safe line next week. I believe it's next week. Here's how to underwrite the deal, the BOE, which we're going to talk about next week. Like, all of a sudden, you can start to filter properties fast, because it's probably going to take some time initially, but I can generally look at a property, ask about 5 questions, and know whether or not this deal is for me. Because you don't want to spend hours or weeks. And I've done this. I mean, when I started with my father-in-law, Andy and I would sit down on a Friday. He would say, bring me 30 or 40 deals, and he would just pepper me with questions. And that was great, because it started to get me thinking, okay, you know what? I never even thought to ask that question. And it happens, but much less, right? I mean, there's always going to be a question that someone asks, and it's like, I never thought of that. I don't. I guess probably the other thing to remember is, you don't need to have all the answers. And generally, when someone pretends to have all the answers, that is kind of a red flag for me. So I've kind of gone in, I think, a big circle here. I hope you're able to track with me. It's a relationship business, and really the information and knowledge that you're going to want to get is from other people. So understanding how to relate to those people, understanding what questions to ask when you're giving versus taking, all super important. And really, I think why I've been successful, and the people that have been the most successful, I mean, these are the most giving people for sure in any community. They're generally the biggest donors, the biggest philanthropists. I wasn't even going to say that word because sometimes I stumble on it, um, but yeah, I mean, that's what commercial real estate is all about. So homework today: just start going out, figuring out who you can start to build relationships with. And when I say build a relationship, it's not sending one LinkedIn message. It's creating like a much deeper relationship. And I think you'll really start to see, some benefits from that. So I'm coming up on 10 minutes. Got to keep it under that so I can post this on LinkedIn. So that's it for day 5. I will see you on Monday next week. Have a great weekend. Later.